So, let's get brutally honest. Do you ever walk around feeling like you're a cosmic tourist with a one-way ticket back to the mothership? Like everyone else on Earth got the guidebook, but yours is written in a language only dolphins understand? Yeah, you're not alone. Today, we're diving into the INFJ experience of liminality. That weird, haunting, sometimes hilarious feeling of always being in between, never quite of this world, but somehow in it. Get ready, because we're about to expose why you, dear INFJ, feel less like a native and more like a really polite alien with social anxiety. Before we dive in, share your weirdest visitor on Earth moment in the comments. And if you relate, hit like and subscribe. It helps this video find more INFJs just like you. Let's dive right in. All right, first off, social norms feel like foreign customs. Now, let's take a stroll into the wonderful world of social norms, a place where you, the INFJ, are basically a tourist who never quite got the dress code. Think about it. For most people, blending in is second nature. There's an invisible rule book for how to greet your neighbors, how long to talk about the weather, and the exact number of nods required to look engaged in a Zoom meeting. But for you, every interaction feels a bit like you're auditioning for a role you didn't read the script for. You can mimic the rituals. Yes, you've perfected the art of nodding at appropriate intervals, laughing at the right times, and even deploying the "wow, that's crazy" line with Oscar-worthy delivery. But under the surface, there's always that feeling you're doing improv in a play everyone else rehearsed for years. There's a sense of fakeness to it all, like you're watching a documentary about human behavior in the wild, but someone forgot to turn off the subtitles. The weirdest part? You're actually pretty good at the social game. People might even describe you as charming or empathetic. But what they don't see is that when running in the background, you're analyzing every social nuance like you're a scientist in a behavioral experiment, taking mental notes for your secret INFJ research paper called "Why Do People Pretend to Care About Office Cake?" You understand the rules, but they never feel natural. It's like you're using a translation app for life, and sometimes it autocorrects authentic to awkward. It's not that you don't want to belong. You'd love to find a group where you can just drop the mask and be your full, quirky, unfiltered self. But mainstream society often feels like a party you were invited to by accident, and now you're stuck in the corner, wondering if it's too soon to leave. You notice things others don't, like the subtext in someone's small talk or the way groupthink kicks in the moment a trend goes viral. And while everyone else is obsessing over the latest reality show scandal, you're quietly pondering whether this is all a simulation, and if so, can you get a refund? The irony is, the more you play along, the less real it all feels. You're an anthropologist, taking notes, participating in the rituals, but never quite losing yourself in them. Sometimes you wish you could just switch off the analysis, relax, and enjoy the group chat memes without wondering why memes are the modern form of tribal bonding. But even in your most social moments, there's a voice in your head asking, is this it? Is this what connection is supposed to feel like? At the end of the day, your ability to see through social conventions is both your blessing and your curse. You get the rules, but you'll always feel a little like an undercover observer in a world that sometimes seems allergic to authenticity. And if you ever feel like you're a character from a different genre dropped into a sitcom, just remember, you're not broken. You're just playing a deeper game in a world obsessed with surface-level points. And next up, time feels warped, too fast, too slow, or just off. Let's talk about time. Because for you, the INFJ, time isn't just a straight line from breakfast to bedtime. No, it's more like one of those twisty, confusing art house movies where the past, present, and future are all sitting together at brunch trying to split the bill. You don't just live in time, you kind of float above it, observing the way it bends, warps, and sometimes downright glitches around you. There are days where hours pass in a blink, and you wonder if you've been accidentally fast-forwarded. Then there are moments when 5 minutes in a dull conversation feels longer than the entire Lord of the Rings trilogy. You might catch yourself spacing out in the middle of a routine, only to wake up and realize you just time-traveled through your own day. Sometimes you can't even remember what you did this morning, but you remember that dream you had 6 years ago about riding a llama through a library with absolute clarity. And let's be honest, déjà vu is practically your middle name. You've experienced the sensation of living a moment before, or feeling like you're exactly where you're meant to be. Except you're not quite sure if it's now, yesterday, or some parallel universe version of last Tuesday. Your memories don't line up neatly. Sometimes you'll get flashes of insight or gut feelings about what's about to happen, as if your internal clock is running in preview mode while everyone else is stuck on real time. But the real kicker is how time just never feels anchored. Life has a way of feeling like a waiting room, except you're not sure what you're waiting for. Maybe you've always had this vague, nagging sense that you're in between phases, places, or people. There's always something around the corner, a door, just about to open. But the hallway never ends. It's like being trapped in that awkward moment between hitting send and seeing those 3 little typing dots appear. This experience isn't just quirky. There's some psychology behind it. Research shows that highly intuitive and reflective personalities like INFJs process time differently. Your brain is constantly piecing together meaning, scanning the past for lessons, and the future for possibilities. You don't just remember, you interpret. You don't just plan, you envision. It's like you're carrying around a personal time machine set to nostalgia and anticipation instead of right now. Of course, it can be funny too. You might set out to do one thing, get lost in a daydream, and then wonder why you're holding your phone in the fridge or your keys in the bathroom. But that's the INFJ time warp for you, living outside the lines, always halfway between memory and possibility. And if you sometimes feel like everyone else got a user manual for how to be present and you're still looking for the index, don't worry. You're just tuned into a timeline with a lot more depth, reruns, and bonus scenes than most people ever realize. Thirdly, you're hyper-aware of existential questions even as a kid. Let's rewind to your childhood for a moment. While other kids were busy conquering playgrounds or figuring out how many crayons they could fit up their nose, you were lying awake at night with questions like, why am I here? And what does it mean to exist? Maybe you even had a mild existential crisis before your first loose tooth. Most people say INFJs are old souls, but really it's just that your brain started spinning on the big questions way before your peers even learned to tie their shoes. You might remember being that kid who looked up at the stars and felt a sense of longing or a weird sadness, like you were missing a piece of a puzzle everyone else seemed to have. Maybe you had a deep conversation with your childhood goldfish, wondering if he was happy in his bowl or if there was some higher goldfish purpose he hadn't yet fulfilled. While the other kids played tag, you wanted to talk about what happens after we die, why people argue, or why adults seem so stressed out about taxes. Fast forward to now, and not much has changed. You're still the person who can't just accept because that's how it is as a legitimate answer. Every why just leads to another why, and your search for meaning isn't a phase, it's a permanent life setting. You're not satisfied skimming the surface, you need to dive deep. You want to understand what drives people, why society works the way it does, and why you sometimes feel like you're watching a movie that everyone else forgot was supposed to be profound. This isn't just personality fluff, there's actual science behind it. Studies show that people high in intuition and introspection process information differently. Your mind is like a meaning-making machine, always weaving together patterns and connections, asking not just what is happening, but what it all means. You can't help it. Your brain's default setting is analyze everything and then some. Of course, this can make you feel a bit alien at times. When you bring up the meaning of life at a dinner party, people might just want to talk about their favorite type of bread. But that's the INFJ way, finding depth in the ordinary, searching for purpose in the everyday. You can't not care about the bigger picture, even if sometimes it means you get lost in your own thoughts, while everyone else is laser-focused on their fantasy football scores. So if you've ever wondered why you started questioning existence before you figured out how to spell it, just know you're not alone. INFJs are built to ponder, to probe, to seek answers that most people never even think to ask. It might make you feel like an outsider, but it also means you're living life with a level of depth and maybe a dash of goldfish philosophy that the world desperately needs. Fourthly, constantly balancing the need to belong with the urge to escape. Now let's talk about the INFJ's classic push-pull between wanting to belong and needing to escape, because honestly, your social life is basically one long game of emotional hide-and-seek. On the one hand, you crave deep connection, those rare moments when you find someone who gets you, or at least pretends convincingly. You dream of finding your soul group, people who laugh at your existential jokes and know the difference between intuition and indigestion. On the other hand, after just a little too much togetherness, you start researching cabins in remote forests and questioning if you could make friends with a family of raccoons. Here's the paradox. You want to be invited to the party, but you also kind of hope it gets canceled. You want to find your people, but you'd prefer to do it from the comfort of your own blanket fort. It's not that you don't like people. You love connection. You're just allergic to anything shallow, fake, or that involves more than 3 people talking at once. Your ideal relationship status is probably meaningful conversations only, please. And yes, I'll need a week to recover afterward. You've likely spent years doing this emotional tango. Maybe you try to fit in, saying yes to events, smiling at the right times, trying out group activities. Sometimes you find a glimmer of belonging, but all too often, you walk away feeling even more like a visitor. Like you just spoke a secret language no one else understood. Then, just when you start thinking, maybe you're destined to be a lone wolf forever, you'll meet someone who surprises you with a spark of real understanding. For a moment, you feel seen, and then naturally, you vanish for 3 days to recover from all that social exposure. Psychologists would call this the classic INFJ dilemma. High sensitivity and a deep longing for meaningful connection, balanced by a powerful urge for solitude. It's a psychological tightrope walk. Too much socializing and you feel drained, disconnected from your own thoughts. Too much solitude and you get that ache for soul-deep connection. It's like your heart is a Wi-Fi signal, constantly searching for the perfect network, but always just out of range. And here's the twist. This tension isn't a flaw. It's a feature. Your need to belong and your urge to escape are both signs of how much you value authenticity. You don't just want to fit in, you want to fit in with purpose. So, if you ever catch yourself daydreaming about running off to the mountains or texting someone, "Let's hang out," and then ghosting them for a month, congratulations, you're not broken. You're just navigating life's in-between spaces. And honestly, you're doing it with more insight and self-awareness than most. Fifthly, people project their secrets and shadows onto you. Let's dive into one of the weirdest superpowers and side effects of being an INFJ. You are a magnet for confessions and emotional baggage. Seriously, you could be standing in line for coffee and suddenly the person behind you is telling you about their childhood, their recent breakup, and the existential crisis they had while choosing oat milk. It's as if people see you and think, ah, yes, this is a safe place to download all my secrets, and then just hit send. You didn't sign up for this, but it keeps happening. It's probably because you radiate empathy like it's some sort of cosmic Wi-Fi signal, People sense that you really listen, not just to their words, but to their subtext, their unspoken fears, and their deepest worries. Your face says therapist, even if your heart is quietly screaming, I just wanted a latte. You have this uncanny ability to hold space for people, to make them feel heard and seen, sometimes more than they're comfortable with. But here's where the plot thickens. Sometimes all that open-heartedness makes you the default emotional mirror in the room. People don't just spill their secrets. They project their own insecurities, anxieties, and shadows onto you. Ever notice how you can become the scapegoat in a group, or suddenly feel weighed down by emotions that weren't even yours to begin with? Welcome to the INFJ experience of being everyone's confession booth and occasional emotional lightning rod. You might find yourself replaying conversations in your head, analyzing what someone said, what they didn't say, and whether that weird look they gave you was because of something you did or just because they had bad sushi. It's exhausting sometimes, like you're carrying around a backpack full of everyone else's unresolved issues. And yet, you'd feel guilty if you just zipped it up and walked away. After all, if not you, then who? Psychologically, it makes sense. INFJs are intuitive empaths, deeply attuned to the needs and energies of others. Research shows people are drawn to those who listen without judgment. And that's you, for better or worse. It's a gift, but it also means your own needs can get buried under the weight of everyone else's secrets. You can feel invisible, always reflecting but rarely being seen for who you really are. Here's the good news. While being the emotional mirror can be draining, it's also proof of how rare and valuable your presence is. You have the power to make people feel safe enough to reveal their true selves, a kind of magic in a world obsessed with facades. Just remember, even mirrors need to be cleaned and put somewhere safe. Setting boundaries isn't selfish. It's how you keep your gift from turning into a burden. And if you ever feel overwhelmed, remind yourself, you are not the world's therapist, just a very insightful visitor passing through. Last, but not least, you feel a strange calling, but have no map. Let's talk about that persistent itch in your soul, that vague, haunting sense that you're here for something bigger, something meaningful, but the universe refuses to give you the Google Maps directions. If you're an INFJ, you know exactly what I mean. It's like waking up every day with a cosmic "you have a quest" notification, but the instructions are in ancient hieroglyphics, and the only clue is follow your intuition. Probably. You've always felt there was a calling for you, some purpose waiting just around the bend. Maybe it's in your career, your art, your relationships, or even a cause you're passionate about. But just when you think you've figured it out, the path fogs up again. You move to a new city, try a new job, pick up a new hobby, hoping this will finally be it, the thing that fills that existential gap. And of course, as soon as it starts to make sense, your INFJ brain goes, plot twist. Let's overthink it. And suddenly you're not so sure anymore. This isn't just restlessness. It's that classic INFJ liminality. You're always on a threshold, sensing destiny, but never quite arriving at the destination. You notice the subtle signs, the right book falling into your hands, a conversation that sparks something in you, a dream that feels almost like a message. You collect meaning like souvenirs, piecing together your story, one symbol at a time. Yet, the big picture, still under construction. Sometimes it feels like everyone else got a clear, detailed manual for their life's path. Meanwhile, you got a cryptic treasure map that only makes sense after you've already passed the landmarks. You might envy those who have linear careers or who say, I always knew I wanted to be a dentist. Meanwhile, you're standing in the toothpaste aisle, wondering if your real destiny is to open a free library, start a podcast, or maybe join a traveling circus for the life experience. There's a psychology to this too. INFJs are driven by purpose and meaning, but we're also wired for growth, which means your inner compass, will always nudge you toward the next adventure, lesson, or mystery. The trick is realizing your calling is less about arriving somewhere and more about evolving, collecting wisdom, helping others, and staying open to life's wild detours. So if you're haunted by that feeling of never quite arriving, give yourself some credit. You're not lost. You're exploring. You're not aimless. You're on a path only you can see, one step at a time, guided by intuition, curiosity, and the occasional cosmic meme. Your journey isn't supposed to look like anyone else's. And if you still don't have the answers, that's okay. The best quests never start with all the instructions anyway. So, INFJ, how many of these liminal signs hit you right in the existential feels? Drop your weirdest, most visitor on Earth moment in the comments. I read them all. And you'll be surprised how many fellow aliens are out there. Remember, feeling in between doesn't mean you're lost. It means you see worlds others miss. And sometimes being the visitor is exactly what this planet needs. If you want more videos like this, let the algorithm know you exist. Like, comment, and subscribe. Or don't. I'll still be here, floating between timelines, waiting for my coffee to brew and my existential crisis to finish updating. Until next time, stay wonderfully liminal.